So today we have got a UFC 314 tier list video where I'm going to be ranking every single UFC 314 fight on my most hyped to my least hyped matchups. This right here might be probably the best card of the year. I'm going to be honest. What we've got left on the table in terms of what matchups can be made, I think it's going to be very hard to top UFC 314 because this card is stacked, especially the main card. So let's run through the options quickly. We have got most hyped. Now there can only be one fight for that category. It's not like the whole main card's going to be in there. One fight gets to be in most hyped. Then we've got excited. We've got okay. And then we've got would rather watch paint dry. So let's start off with the first matchup. We have got Patricio Pitbull versus Yair Rodriguez. This one goes right into excited. I cannot wait to see Patricio Pitbull make his UFC debut. Now people might say it's too late in his career, and I would understand that. I mean, Patricio Pitbull is getting up there in age. Now he is 37 years of age. The Bellator GOAT though. I mean, everybody's wanted to see this guy test himself in the UFC for years and years, and now we're finally getting it. And a stylistic matchup that is going to be a fun one against Yair Rodriguez. He is always in fun fights. I definitely do think we see a finish in this matchup. If you watch yesterday's prediction video, you will know that I'm going for Patricio Pitbull to get the submission win over Yair Rodriguez at UFC 314. But to the lead up to the submission, I think it's just going to be a fun fight, especially round number 1. I'm predicting Patricio to sub Yair inside rounds 2 or 3, but I think round 1 will be really fun because, like I said, both guys have a very fun fight style, especially Yair Rodriguez on the feet. This guy's very exciting to watch. I'm really looking forward to this. The debut of Patricio Pitbull has been a long time coming. Will he live up to his name? I think so. I think this guy's going to get the job done, create a lot of buzz for himself. I think he submits Yair Rodriguez, like I said, inside rounds 2 or 3. Moving on to the card opener, we have got Nora, can't say her second name, against Haley Cowan. It's going, they've done them so bad with this photo here, by the way. It's going straight into I'd rather watch paint dry. I don't care about this fight at all. I don't care. I don't care if I miss it. I don't care. I don't care who wins. I don't care what happens. And that's not just because it's it's a women's MMA fight. There's another women's MMA fight on the card that, let's just see where it ends up. It could end up in would rather watch paint dry. It could. So don't be alarmed if it does. But this fight right here, let's not pretend that anybody gives a shit about this. Nobody cares about this matchup at all. So let's stop pretending that we do. Next up, we have got Darren Elkins versus Erosa. I'm going to put that in just okay. I mean, again, this is another one that Darren Elkins, Julian Erosa. Darren Elkins is obviously a legend of the game. I mean, this guy has had some crazy moments in the UFC, and Julian Erosa has fraud checked some prospects that you wouldn't have thought that he would have beaten, and he ended up beating them. So the guy, he is capable to a certain extent, but this isn't like a fight that I need to be in front of my TV to watch. I'm not going to be getting up. Well, I'm not going to be getting up anyway because I'm going to be in the States. Yes, I'm going to be stateside for UFC 314. But this is not like one of those ones where I can't afford to miss it. Again, I'll go back and rewatch the fight. I'm sure if I do miss it the next day, maybe the day after, maybe I'll never watch it because, I don't really care about this matchup whatsoever. So that is why it's just an okay. I can see there being a finish in there. Darren Elkins, he can be fun to watch sometimes. But I don't really care about this matchup. Moving on, we have got Sean Woodson versus Dan Ige. I don't want to put it in excited because I don't want to overpopulate that column because, if I'm comparing Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson to the likes of Patricio Pitbull versus Yair Rodriguez, they're not comparable in the slightest. Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson, though, is a fight that I will be paying attention to. It's a fight I want to see. It's a big step up in competition for Sean Woodson. I think he's very fun to watch. The guy is a freak of nature. The guy is scarily big, pause, for the UFC's featherweight division. The guy's 6'2", got a very strange build. That creative character build is what Sean Woodson has, and Dan Ige, he normally in his last performance against Lerone Murphy, didn't look that great, but he did drop him in there. He can produce some exciting moments. Dan Ige, he is ranked. He's been in there with a lot of elite competition. Dan Ige, Sean Woodson. I'm looking forward to that matchup. Just can't put it into the excited category because, again, it doesn't compare to Patricio Pitbull facing Yair Rodriguez. Like, Patricio Pitbull, the Bellator GOAT, this guy's making his UFC debut. I was there live at Bellator Belfast for Patricio Pitbull's last fight where he got the TKO in the third round. Patricio Pitbull is someone that I have always wanted to see in the UFC since I started getting into the sport of MMA. His best years might be behind him. I don't know why I've came back to this matchup. Surely that should just show you how hyped up about the debut of Patricio Pitbull I am. But moving on, we have got Sue. That was embarrassing. Against Mitch Raposo. Again, I'm going to put this into would rather watch paint dry. I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about either guy. I just don't know really much about either guy. They could end up both being KO artists. I maybe should have looked into that matchup. Has the fight just been recently added, or am I just making that up? Again, either way, I don't care. I don't care about seeing this matchup. I do not care. I'm not going to be losing sleep over this matchup at all. Moving on, we have got Yan Xiaonan versus... Oh my god, what's her name? I've had a stinker here. Don't tell me. Jandaroba. Yes, that's her name. Do you know what? I'm not putting it in to rather watch paint dry. Jandaroba is boring as fuck. She is. If it was her against anybody else, it probably would end up there. But Yan Xiaonan, she had a fun fight at UFC 300 against Zhang Weili. Again, Zhang Weili is probably the most entertaining females fighter we have ever seen. So maybe her name value's giving her the rub. But they had a fun fight at UFC 300, especially early on in the fight. It kind of got shite near the end of the fight, but early on it was a fun matchup. I'm going to put it there because not that I have a massive amount of interest in this matchup here between these two women, but they're two ranked women that are probably looking to get a title shot in the near future, maybe after this matchup, depending on how things play out. Moving on, we have got Chase Hooper versus Jim Miller. Again, another fight I'm looking forward to, a fight that I don't want to miss, but I'm not so excited for it, to be honest. I do want to see Sean Woodson versus Dan Ige more because I think it will be a more exciting fight. I think Dan Ige and Sean Woodson's style will really gel well together. But Jim Miller is a legend. Chase Hooper, he's on a bit of a run himself now on a 2-fight finish win streak. He's on a 4-fight win streak in total, but his last 2 fights have came by way of submission win. Like I said, Jim Miller, a legend. He's been in the game forever and ever. So I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing a prospect hopefully shine under these big lights in Chase Hooper, get that rub from a name like Jim Miller to push him on further into the rankings, because the UFC lightweight division was once the best division in the UFC, but in my opinion it's kind of stagnated with the same recycled matchups. I want to see new prospects, new blood pumped into that division, and if Chase Hooper is able to get the job done against Jim Miller, which I think he will, and Chase Hooper can be exciting to watch at times, so is Jim Miller. At times, not all the time, at times. Chase Hooper is exciting though most of the time. We can get him pushed up into the rankings and get new blood in the lightweight division. That's why I have it there. Moving on up the card, we have got Dumas versus... I can't say his second name. Olasenchuk. Yeah, I think I've said his name right. Look, let me try and figure out where I want to put this. I'm gonna put it there. I was gonna try and be this, I was gonna try and be so different and pretend that I want to see the women's matchup more than it. I don't, because there's not going to be a finish in the women's matchup. Not saying there's going to be a match or finish in this matchup either, but there's a higher chance. Sadiq Dumas, I actually think he's pretty good, to be honest. But I think Michael Olasenchuk, I think I've said his name right, he's been in there with a lot of big names, like Shara Bullock. Kevin Holland obviously broke his arm in there, but he dropped Kevin Holland in that matchup. He looked good in there against Shara Bullock, putting the pressure on him. I think it could make for some fun exchanges in this matchup. Moving on, we have got Trey Sean Gore. versus Marco Tullu, or Tullu. Did I say his name right? Tullu. Again, don't care to see the matchup, don't care who wins, don't care if I see this fight, if I don't see this fight, don't give a fuck. Do not care. Doesn't really have my interest, to be honest. Let's move on to, I think this is all the main card we have got left. We have got Diego Lopez versus Volkanovski. We have got the main event. We're putting it in excited. Look, I'm excited to see Volkanovski back, but again, I've wanted to see Patricio Pitbull in the UFC for such a long time. I can't have the return of Volkanovski put in front of Patricio Pitbull. I just can't. I'm more looking forward to seeing Patricio Pitbull in the UFC than what I am seeing Diego Lopez versus Volkanovski, which I think will be a really fun fight. If you watched yesterday's video, if you haven't, go back and check. I am picking Volkanovski to win this. I think he is either going to stop Diego Lopez late in the fight or just beat him by decision, but he will have to come through some adversity early on in the fight in round one. I think Diego Lopez might catch him, hurt Volkanovski visibly, but I think as the fight goes on and Diego Lopez tends to fade, like we have seen as when the levels of competition have stepped up for Diego Lopez, we have seen him when he can't get them out of there, he does tend to fade and slow down. I think Volkanovski will do a good job of keeping himself technically sound in there. I think it won't be a boring fight, but it won't be fight of the night either. I think it'll be a fun matchup, like a typical Volkanovski fight. I know Volkanovski has been in some really, really fun matchups, but I think this is just going to be okay. I think it's just going to be okay. I think it's going to be a good matchup, but not one that everybody's going to be rushing back to rewatch. I think it's going to be a clinical performance second half onwards from Volkanovski. Moving on, we have got Dominic Reyes versus Nikita Krylov. It's going to go high okay tier. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing the return of Nikita Krylov. I think he's very underrated. Dominic Reyes, again, he's found new lease of life in the division. I can't believe Dominic Reyes was knocked out by Ryan Spann, but we all know that Dominic Reyes beat John Jones. That is just frightening the world that we live in. But Nikita Krylov coming back. He hasn't fought since 2023. I'm looking forward to seeing him return, but again, I'm not going to overpopulate excited because I'm not as excited for the return of Nikita Krylov and Dominic Reyes as I am for Patricio Pitbull, Yair Rodriguez, or the main event in Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. Although it is a matchup that you cannot miss, in my opinion. Nikita Krylov, don't be surprised if this guy is knocking on the door for a title shot by the end of the year. Moving on. Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell versus Gene Silva is easily my most anticipated fight on the card. I cannot wait to see this matchup. The build, the interaction these guys have had with one another, awesome. Bryce Mitchell, I like what the guy stands for. Big Christian guy, a lot of Christian values. I respect that about him. Obviously, a lot of people hate Bryce Mitchell because of what he said on his Arkansanity podcast. Yeah, okay, I understand. I'm not here to say I agree or disagree with the guy on that. That's his own opinion. He's entitled to it. But I am looking forward to seeing Bryce Mitchell in there against Gene Silva. Do I think this is going to be the most entertaining matchup? I think it might go down the route of a Manel Kape versus Muhammad Mokaev, where it was the most hyped fight on the card, but didn't deliver as the most hyped fight. I don't think it's going to be as dog shit as that fight, because that fight was fucking awful. Those guys were trying to fight each other, and then as soon as the bell rang, they didn't want to be anywhere near each other. Such a strange fight that was. But Bryce Mitchell, I really like watching the guy fight. I like his grappling style. He does look for the finish most of the time. Gene Silva, big puncher, could shut Bryce Mitchell's lights out. And this has got the most hyped. Like, this is the most hyped I've been for a UFC fight in quite a while anyway, to be honest. The build-up has been great for it. And I just like Bryce Mitchell. I just like him. So that's why he's there. That is easily my most hyped fight on the card. And finally, to round it off, we have got Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler. Again, this is going to be a really fun one. This could potentially be fight of the night, in my opinion. Both guys are very fun, very heavy-handed. I do think Michael Chandler is going to beat Paddy Pimblett, unfortunately. I want Paddy Pimblett to win, I really do. Although, I'm just having these visions of Michael Chandler stopping Paddy Pimblett. I think it's going to be a fun fight for as long as it lasts. I think there will be a finish in this matchup. But yeah, that is how I would rank the UFC 314 card in terms of how excited I am. Let me know, do you agree with this, or what way would you order it in the comments below. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you all again in the next one.